The scene starts in the streets of LA, where a young woman is headed home from her grocery shop. Behind her, a shadowy figure appears and catches up to her, and there is a struggle between the two. She makes a muffled scream, and then silence. The following day, LAPD finds the body of a young girl dumped near a construction site, with a delicate black rose is placed in her mouth. The detectives stare at the frail victim, as this is becoming a norm in their routine.
Girl, battle over. Poor Moscow.
There is a meeting in the LAPD office where Captain Delano informs the detectives that he is bringing outside help from Russia to help solve the case.
We need someone that'll bond with the community and that we don't want another Russian girl dead.
The detective on the case, Detective Matt, is unhappy about bringing a Russian detective.
I think it sends out the wrong message. It says that we can...
He says it paints a bad picture, but Captain Delano insists they're willing to do anything to keep the people safe, even if it means asking for help. Meanwhile, a bank in Moscow, Russia, is attacked by armed robbers who order the bank tellers to give them all the money.
No.
Eventually, the Russian police make their way to the bank. The captain in charge tries to reason with one of the robbers, which ends up in the demise of several hostages, after which he demands for an armored vehicle to escape. Vladimir, a Russian police major, arrives at the scene and goes ahead to enter the bank. He negotiates the release of the hostages, which again does not happen. He walks out, gets in one of the vehicles, and then heads straight into the bank, firing directly at the gang members. Vladimir saves the day, but does not escape the consequences of ignoring the captain's orders. Later that day, Vladimir has a meeting with the Moscow police commander, who, after little confrontations, tells him that he is needed in America to help solve the murder mystery of Russian girls.
В Америку.
Не могут обнаружить. Ах, да еще.
Vladimir arrives in Los Angeles and is met by homicide detective Antonio, who shows him around LA. Later, he heads to the LAPD station. He is welcomed by the LAPD commissioner, Captain Delano, who gives him the recap of the Russian girls and their disappearance.
There was one other thing. We believe that the perp messages in Russian and also a...
He is introduced to Detective Matt, who is also working on the case. Vladimir and Antonio go out to grab something to eat. Vladimir is waiting in the car when he hears screams just about the corner and goes to check it out. He finds a woman being attacked by two men who draw out their guns as soon as they see him. He quickly incapacitates one of them, and the other guy wound up severely injured. The commission just how he works.
No, that's how I do business.
Antonio is pissed off and demands Vladimir is given a new partner since he doesn't want to get into his theatrics. In the next scene, a lady is walking down the street when she's called by a gentleman in a car. Next, the lady is strapped on a chair, begging the suspect to let her go. The suspect cuts her face with a scalpel while the lady screams and begs for mercy. Meanwhile, in the LAPD, the commissioner introduces Emily Smith, a profiler who will also be working on the case and Vladimir's new partner. Vladimir and Emily finally get a lead and head to a bakery where one of the girls was working. After persuading the owner, they learn that some Russian girls go to a particular club in town after work.
She used to go to the club. That's Blakesy.
The detectives head out for lunch, where they discuss the traits of their suspect. They realize the suspect is a sadist who enjoys torture before death.
It's a mental illness. Now,
it appears that someone is taking photos of them, well, Emily, without them noticing. They finalize their meeting and agree to meet later in the club. Later on in the club, Vladimir and Emily ask to speak to Natalia, the owner of the club, who admits that one of the murdered girls was a regular in her club. Natalia insists that the girl was a loner, and she hadn't seen her with anyone in the club. The detectives are about to leave.
He was right there a moment when I was passing by and told me not to look at him.
Vladimir asks the waiter for more details about who gave them the note, but the waiter denies seeing his face. As Emily is dropping off Vladimir, they urge each other to be careful since it seems the suspect is now onto them. Vladimir notices his door is open, and when he gets in, he finds a black rose on the counter, suggesting the suspect has been in his house. Elsewhere, the bakery owner is closing up for the day when he feels someone watching him from a distance. The realization of what is about to happen to him is written all over his wrinkly face. Back at the precinct, the detectives are in a meeting discussing various serial killers and their techniques, and Emily and Matt compete about knowledge of the killers. Later that day, the police find the body of the bakery owner, and a black rose is placed on top of his body. There is also a photo of Vladimir and a note saying, "As long as you're on the case, people will keep dying." Detective Matt instantly jumps to say how Vladimir is now a liability since the suspect is now on to him, but Emily backs him up, stating they could use that to their advantage and get him. Matt warns Emily of her safety since she's hanging around Vladimir. On their way back, they pass by the club before it opens to do some recon, since they figured it had something to do with the murder. Emily asks Vladimir about his former partner, and he dismisses her, saying he doesn't want to talk about it.
Vlad, what happened to your partner in Moscow?
I want to talk about that.
Vladimir breaks the back door, and Emily decides to search the bar for clues while Vladimir checks the office. Emily rummages through the bar to find a switch, and when she does, she yells at the team, who arrive shortly. Natalia, the club owner, denies any knowledge of why the waiter would be found dead in her club, after which Vladimir accuses her of running prostitution on her premises.
You also know you're running prostitution ring out of the victims, didn't you?
Back at the commissioner's office, Vladimir backs Emily up when the commissioner suggests Emily handles the parent that she was bait now.
I will not feel safe about detectives mid partnership.
Natalia is headed out of the club when a man approaches her car. She asks him what he was doing there and mentions that the man then punches Natalia in the stomach. In the meantime, Emily and Vladimir are headed to the club but didn't show up.
I'm scared.
Later in the night, as the detectives head home, Emily receives a call from an unknown male caller. The voice on the other call is distorted, and a weak female voice comes into the call. Emily asks who she is and quickly realizes it is Natalia.
Who is this? Natalia, how can we help you?
The male distorted voice takes over again.
It's good when they beg. If I was sexual deviant.
Natalia's frail voice is heard begging for mercy as her screams increase and the line is cut off. The next day at the office, Vlad and Emily are going through the facts of the case when Matt approaches them and tells them the commissioner wants to see them. Matt pulls Emily back and tells her not to worry. They'll catch the guy next time. Because she is now a target.
Emily, I'm taking you off the case.
What? No.
Emily is angry at Vladimir for not defending her. She tells him that he has not only lost a partner, but also a friend.
You lost more than a partner today, Major. You lost a friend.
Is the man with the distorted voice. He sets up a meeting with her at a club in Hollywood and tells her to go alone. Vladimir tries to stop her, but Emily doesn't listen, so he decides to follow her as her backup. Later in the evening, Emily arrives at the club and hurries to where she is. Emily calls the suspect with anger in her voice, and he tells her she didn't follow the rules, so Natalia had to die.
I told you, come on. Punishment for you, Emily.
Emily cries in disbelief as she rests on Vladimir's shoulders. The rest of the team killing Emily and firmly states that she is a professional detective. There is obvious tension between them as Matt walks away. As they leave the crime scene, Vladimir offers Emily a place to sleep since the suspect seems to know their every move and seems to be one step ahead of them. Emily agrees. Emily takes this moment to ask Vladimir about his last partner, and he doesn't hesitate this time. He narrates how he was on a mission with his partner who was held hostage by one of the gang members. They asked him to lower his weapon so his partner would be set free. When Vlad lowered his gun, the gang member immediately shot his partner multiple times. Vladimir still feels he could have done more to save his partner. Emily also realizes that during the phone calls with Natalia and the suspect, she could hear background noises that seem to come from a train station.
Called. I heard a train in the background.
Meanwhile, in the club, the bartender is closing for the night when someone grabs her from behind. The following morning, Emily is following up on the train station lead, and they find that there's an abandoned warehouse around where the calls were made. They hurriedly make their way down there. They arrive at the warehouse and break in the locks. They find roses dipped in black inks and then hear a female voice from a distance.
Did you hear? Be careful.
And Emily decides to go check it out. Vladimir walks on the suspect, making cut marks on the bartender while she's crying in agony. The suspect turns around, and Vladimir cannot believe his eyes. Emily walks in on them, and she too cannot believe that Detective Matt wished Vladimir a safe journey back to Moscow, although he wishes he could stay in America. The film ends as Emily and Vladimir walk away, joking about Emily moving to Russia to work with Vladimir since she is the best wingman he has ever worked with.
Anytime, partner.